Hey, welcome. Hello, hello. Awesome to see you, Craig, Paul, Jason. What's going on? Ben, Mark, good to see you guys. If you are here, and you're obviously here. If you could hear me and see me, just type in the chat. You can do so. And also where you're coming in from. Hello, Paul. Hello, John. Can you hear me? Thumbs up in the chat. Can you hear me? Yes, thumbs up. Can you hear me? Yes, wonderful. So type in the chat what city you're coming in from, and let's give a big hello to the person who's, I guess, the furthest away. Uh, and furthest away from who? I'm in New York. So where are you guys based? Los Angeles, Tampa. Let's give a big hello to each other. How about this? Type in the chat. Hello, everybody. What's going on? Hello. Type in the chat as well what business you're in as a business leader, what industry you're in, and let's get started in just a couple minutes. Okay, just going to click on over to the chat. Hello, everybody. Hello, Ben. Hello, John. Awesome. We've got Mark. Hello, Mark. What's going on? Jason, Paul, Craig. Let's get started here. Just waiting a couple minutes for folks to come in. You run a firm that's called Think Fish. Awesome. And fish do think. Uh, and that's awesome. I don't know what Think Fish does, but that's great. What industry are you guys in? Type in the chat what industry you're in and maybe what weather. What's the weather like by you? I am really excited about this discussion we're going to have today. This is a masterclass webinar discussion, and I am really excited for you guys. I think I know a couple of you guys here. I don't know most of you, but I'm really excited for you today that you're going to have these breakthroughs in your business. So I'm really excited. Fundraising is hard. Oh, Ben, thanks for copying and pasting that. I like how you started with the problem. Fundraising is hard. Very well done. That's our second shift that we're going to be talking about. Residential rental real estate. Craig, I like that. Automating income and ID verification. Oh, that is a big hassle. Whole income and ID verification process. That's great. So I'm really glad that you guys are here, and I think we'll just jump into it pretty quick, and I will start. So we're going to be talking about these 5 shifts, and these are shifts. These are perspective shifts that you as business leaders really need to make to be successful. Hey, Paul from Jaguar Freight Services. Hey, Paul, what's going on? I met your colleague last week. Awesome that you're here. So during this webinar, I'm going to be totally real with you. So if you're not down for an honest conversation about your business, about your marketing, you could just sign off now, do other things. But I'm going to be real with you. What we're going to do today is you're going to experience things that will require an open mind. And you may want to take some notes during this time. Hey, Simon, what's going on? Good to see you. So this is at last call for 2025, and I call it last call because we got Halloween next week, my favorite holiday of the year. Type in the chat who you're going to be for Halloween. I'm going to be Mayor Humdinger from Paw Patrol for my kids, but who are you going to be for Halloween? So this is the last call because we've got Halloween coming up, we got Thanksgiving coming up, we've got Christmas coming up, and the reality is if you want 2025 to be any different than 2024, there's fundamental shifts that need to take place in your marketing, in your business, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. Mostly, we're going to talk about how AI needs to be used for your business. So I'm excited to share with you that breakthrough. So hello, Jason. So this is sadly, thumbs down, hopefully not the reality for you, how you see your website, how your prospects see your website, because that's bad. But maybe that's the truth. Maybe that's just the way things are. So the shifts that need to be discussed today are the shifts that you have about how you describe and talk about your business. When I say you as the business leader. So much has changed. The world has changed. And AI, I like to think it's like a Cambrian explosion of AIs that are happening now. And marketing is mostly done today wrong and badly, and it is a big waste of money. So if you're here today, it's possible your marketing does have a fatal flaw, and we're going to be discussing these 5 shifts. And if you're positioned the wrong way, your marketing, no matter what you're doing in marketing, it's just not going to work. And the 5 shifts are related to your positioning. Hello, welcome, Benjamin. Welcome. Yeah, I hope this doesn't happen to you where your prospects are confusing your solution with those that are nothing like it. And if that's happening, that's a symptom of positioning being wrong, or just having trouble, your team having trouble describing what it is that you do in a way that people really get it. And I do like in the chat here, who said that? Ben, you said fundraising is hard. What I love about that, Ben, is it starts out with the problem and gives it context. So that's great. So it sounds like you've already nailed with that kind of positioning statement. I think it's like the 3rd shift we're going to be talking about today. So we're going to be talking about the 5 urgent sales and marketing shifts that CEOs need to make before AI leaves you all behind. And I like to think that that by 2030, there's going to be 2 kinds of businesses. And I said, I like to think this. I think this is just a reality. There's going to be businesses that are using AI, and there are going to be businesses that are out of business. And I hope that you're not in that second camp. So I'm just curious, what did you think of that GPT website assessment? Did you all get that? What did you think of it? Type in the chat. Because I like to think about what we're doing is co-intelligent marketing. We're working with AIs to create better marketing. Neil Patel, who's like the SEO genius, whatever, he's basically saying that the reason why ads aren't profitable in surveys is because of what you're showing to people when they actually come to your website. So I like to think the story is not marketing, it is your strategy, it is your positioning. And we're going to be talking about that, because if your homepage is in love with your precious solution, then that's a repellent to your ideal customer. So I'm just curious, what is your website in love with? Just type in the chat here. What is your website in love with? So I want to honor you for taking time to work on your business in this masterclass. I am here, you are here. This is not a recording, this is a live conversation. We're going to go through this together. All right, so quick question. Type in a yes in the chat. Have you been a bit disappointed by the marketing you're getting out of your marketer? So just type in the chat yes or no. Have you been a little disappointed by the marketing content you get out of ChatGPT? You get some cool stuff out of ChatGPT, but tell me honestly, have you been a little bit disappointed by the marketing content you get out of GPT? We're going to be talking about this. So untrained AI will just make you blend in with your industry. And hint, hint, your goal is to actually stand out. And so we're going to talk about how to do that. So if you're using AI, you're probably using it in the wrong way, where you're really having conversations with ChatGPT 4.0 at that level, or Cloud, or Anthropic, or Gemini. But really, it's about the custom GPTs, or the custom training that you can do. We're going to be talking about this today, because it's not about the prompt. It really is about the training. So this is really a preface to what we're going to jump in together. And I just wanted to give you a highlight, because that's what I want to do. I also know there's been a ton of money that people spend on rebranding your website, and I really feel this pain. I feel this thumbs down. I feel this when you spend money on branding and marketing and it doesn't do anything for sales. If this has happened to you, just give me a 666 in the chat. Has this happened to you? And also, if you're just coming in here, hello, Donna. Hello, Brandon. Just say hello to me on the chat. Say hello to everybody. Type hello in the chat where you're coming in from. Hello, hello. Yeah, so sadly, this is happening, Craig. Absolutely. So let me ask you a quick pop quiz here. What's more important? Your product being amazing, your product being breakthrough, or your message being clear and compelling? What's more important? Just type that in the chat. What is more important? So, if you say product, I would argue, do the best products win? Do the best products always win? Yeah, the best products do not always win, and if you're a leader of a company, you know that to be true. So stop tolerating embarrassment about your website. Let's talk about this. What I believe is standing in the way between your innovation, what you're building with your team, and all your ideal prospects becoming customers. What do you think is standing in the way? Type in the chat. What do you think is standing in the way? Yeah, who do we have here? We've got, hey, Mark is in the house. What's going on, Mark, Donna, Brandon, Benjamin? What's standing in the way? I would say what's standing in the way is your message, your brand message. So you're not years away from dominating your market, your industry. Um, you are just a narrative shift away. We're going to talk about the narrative shift manifesting in the 5 shifts that we're going to be talking about today. So I'm really excited. Glad you're here. We're going to jump into these 5 shifts. The 5th shift will only work once you've made the first 4. And so stay tuned for the 5th secret weapon shift. I have had the privilege of working with some amazing people, amazing CEOs, leaders of businesses. And I would say what these CEOs do not have in common, what they do not have in common is none of them have a boring story. None of them are embarrassed by their website. None of them are missing their revenue goals. None of them are frustrated with their marketing, not doing anything for their business, and none of them have stalled growth. And so I'm really excited for them because their businesses are doing great right now. So that is really what you're going to see today. So ground rules, this is not for spectators. I need you to chat and participate with me, or else I'm just going to fall asleep. That'll be negative. This is for participants. Success, love, speed, and action. Ground rule number 2, I am going to challenge you. This is 2. I'm going to, that was ground rule number 1. Ground rule number 2, I will challenge you here in this discussion. I promise you, you're going to get your money's worth. And even though this is free, you won't be able to look at your homepage or speak your sales message the same again. It's going to shock you to your core. So there will be no replay. This is a live conversation we're going to have here today. There are going to be 3 giveaways at the end for participants. Number 1 is the 16-part magnetic messaging framework that is in the book that I'm going to talk about. There's the 12 sales conversations that need to be in every 100K deal. If you miss one of those conversations, you will lose the deal. And you'll also realize when you look at those 12 conversations, the reason why you did lose a deal is because you missed having one of those conversations. And the third thing is the GPT homepage messaging evaluator. It's free. I'll give you a link for that so you can use that to get a clear sense of what your website is missing from the GPT that we've trained. I published this book. It's for sale on Amazon and other bookstores near you. Actually, no, in other airport libraries. Now, it's not in airports. It's not in bookstores, but it is on Amazon. So excited. Storycraft for disruptors. And if you're an innovator, if you are bringing something really cool to the market, this is a great book. I'm actually giving to you a copy in this session if you stay to the end for free, and I'll give you an electronic version of that. So really excited to share all this stuff with you guys today. So I will not pitch you. This is not a pitch session at all. Dan, Donna, Brandon, Benjamin, Jason, John, Mark, Paul, and Craig, you guys are here. I am not going to pitch you. Promise. Promises. But when I say but, at the end, I'll be offering 5 CEOs in this group an opportunity to book a free marketing and sales enablement strategy session with me and my team. If you qualify, that's free. So does that sound fair to you? Type a 1 in the chat if that sounds fair. Let's see. We got a Paul, we got a Craig 1. If that sounds fair, Jason, awesome. So no pitch session. I won't be section. Won't be selling anything to you guys today. Awesome. So type in the chat, who is your ideal customer? Let's keep our virtual arms around our ideal customers right now. Type in the chat, who is your ideal customer? Because how well you understand your ideal customer is your biggest competitive advantage. It really is in markets that are flooded with solutions. So type that in the chat. So if you're here, it's likely because you're selling an innovation and you are revolutionizing something in your industry. If that's a yes, give me a 1 in the chat. Give me a 1 in the chat if that is you. All right. Keep on going. Give me a 1 in the chat. All right. So bad news. I would say bad news. Bad news. Thumbs down. Because says who? If you are saying you're selling an innovation, I'm sorry, those are self-ascribed things. In fact, there was a person that signed up for this masterclass today. I took the screenshot from their website and I saw this and I'm just like, oh God, who are we? We're trusted, we're courageous, we're accountable, we're compassionate. We're like, give me a break. Like, why should I believe anyone that says trust me or we're courageous? So the idea that you say you're selling an innovative product and you're revolutionizing business is falling into the same trap that businesses that talk about themselves in this way. So the good news is the world absolutely needs your solution. I don't want to beat you guys up. I mean, it totally needs, the world needs your solution to make it a better place, but there's a better way to go about it that's much more attractive. I call it magnetic with your positioning, your messaging. That's what we're going to talk about today. So who am I? I am Greg Rosner. I am the CEO of Pitch Kitchen. We're a marketing agency. I'm also a fractional CMO for a few organizations. And my company, Pitch Kitchen, offers these 90-day sprints to really whip your messaging, your marketing, your branding, your sales enablement in place. I've had the privilege of selling software directly. I've learned how to market, not by doing marketing. Actually, I have learned how to do marketing by marketing, but better marketing. But I came to marketing from selling. So really understanding that selling is about having the right conversations and helping people change. And so I came to this agency from a sales perspective. Most marketers you talk to in marketing agencies, they haven't sold anything to anyone in their lives. Sadly, it's about just putting lipstick on pigs, and I'm not about that. I have learned so much helping companies fix their messaging, their website, their sales presentations, their pitch decks, and have helped them raise millions of dollars. The book that you'll read if you want to read it, it's on Amazon. It's called Storycraft for Disruptors. Everything I'm talking about today is in the book, and the methods are all there. But I'm going to give you the Reader's Digest version and the interactive session in this session today. So we've got Jason and Craig typing in the chat who you sell to. That's wonderful. Thank you. Multifamily regional VPs, software product leaders. So type in the chat who your ideal customers are as I'm telling you who this session is not for. So this session is not for those who don't run or own or is not the C-level folks of their business. It's not. So if you're someone else, you can just get out of this class, whatever. It's not for you. This is not for businesses that don't sell an innovative product or service. So you have to sell an innovative product or service. If you don't, this is not for you. Businesses that don't already have successful customers. If you don't have successful customers, then you don't need to be in this masterclass. You're not going to get anything from it. And that's important because, I need to make sure you are going to make the world a better place, not a shittier place. CEOs that aren't committed to their vision. If you're not committed, you don't need to be here. And businesses that have grown more than 500% by 2023, you don't need to be here because guess what? You've won. You've won the game. That's awesome. But if you haven't grown by 500% since 2023, you're in the right place. And products and services that do not require prospects to change. If you're selling something that don't require any change at all, then you don't need to be in this session. You're not going to get anything out of it. And of course, CEOs that cannot invest time or money in their business, if you can't do this, you don't need to be in this session. You're not going to get anything out of it because it does require both of those things. So let's jump into this. My promise to you in the next 45 minutes, we're going to talk about how to nail your sales message. Absolutely nail that message, even if your solution is sophisticated, complex, needs to be demoed. How to turn your homepage into a home run for the perfect buyer. And why it's really game over for most marketing playbooks and even most marketing agencies, call them digital marketing agencies, that are like, what isn't digital these days? So it's just like so old, totally outdated. And how to attract ideal customers into buying conversations with your team and lead your category in a category of one, even if they've never heard of your solution. And how to use AI to create a torrent of 100% on-brand content without hallucinations and without fancy prompting. In fact, I'm going to show you right now on my screen a lazy prompt. This is ChatGPT. This is a GPT we created for a publicly traded company. and I'm just going to be like, here, I'll just dictate. Yo, what's going on? So write me a blog post on some recent news thing that will be cool. All right. So I just prompted this GPT with the laziest, shittiest prompt you can ever imagine. And it's actually writing an amazing blog post about how AI fraud is on the rise, how companies can fight back. And it's writing this because it's been trained. And that's the piece we're going to be talking about today. And that's the fifth shift. So excited to share that with you. I hope you're keeping your eyes peeled in the screen because I'm going super fast. So there you have it. So if you guys are ready to jump in, say, I don't know, say, let's go in the chat. Type in, let's go. Let's go. Awesome. Let's go. Let's go. Benjamin, Paul, Jason. So let's talk. Is this you? Your solution is amazing. Your customers love you, but you and your sales reps are working so hard explaining the awesomeness that it is, demoing it, trying to convince people of what the value is. It should be a freaking no-brainer, but it is a brainer. You have a marketer, they're doing marketing, but it's not turning into sales. It's just not. You've asked GPT to write you a blog, a post, marketing, whatever, and it was rubbish. Yes, give me a like maybe in the chat. 78% of your demos, meetings resulting with no sales. You're seeing some stats like this, and we're seeing this in the industry. Rates are down, win rates are down. 90% of sales teams are missing quota. Like, what's with that? Sales cycles are increasing. This is what we're seeing. So if you're seeing this, just type in, I don't know, a one in the chat. Have you read some of these amazing books like Gap Selling? Maybe you've read my book already, Storycraft. Have you Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller? So if you've read some of these books, but yet you haven't implemented what you already know, then doing is different than knowing, then you haven't made these shifts that we're going to be talking about today. If you've got sales reps that are telling different stories, or I'd like to say singing from different hymn sheets, then you're in the right place. If you've got a graphics person, a website person, social media gal, a PPC person, everyone's doing marketing, but you seem to be missing a single compelling story that everyone is excited about, including your customers, then you haven't made these shifts. If you've got sales presentations that are making up for the fact that your homepage doesn't tell the story, and those sales presentations are just filled with like, I don't know, it's just exhausting looking at shitty sales presentations as you've seen them. If you have language on your website like this, creating innovative workflow technologies that drive who knows what, if you're using language that is self-ascribed, like we talked about before, powerful, unified, flexible, and versatile, like says who? This is all self-ascribed language. This is all coming from the old playbooks that the GPTs have been trained on, the base level models. And that's why it doesn't work. If your slides are a Franken deck and they're not really helping you convert, if you're creating more case studies and ROI calculators and videos and all bunch of stuff, but it's not helping you convert, then you haven't made these shifts. If you're thinking, well, how can our messaging be so simple? How could it be clear and compelling and singular if our solution is so sophisticated and every deal is complex and every customer is unique? Then how do we do that? It's impossible, but it is possible. The good news is, the amazing news is that those are all symptoms. And the real problem that needs to be solved is you haven't made these 5 shifts. But once you make these 5 shifts, great things are going to happen. You'll have complete confidence in marketing. You'll lead your category. Your leadership team will all be running in the same direction, including your salespeople. You'll be able to create tons, and I mean tons, hundreds of pieces of content distributed through your team, on brand, everywhere, every month, every day, without hiring anybody new, and attract ideal prospects showing up predisposed and ready to buy. So that's what happens when you make these shifts, and we're going to jump into them right now. All right. So the first thing you got to do is lead a movement. Type in the chat about what do I mean by lead a movement. Craig, Paul, Mark, Jason, Brandon, Donna, Dan, Benjamin. Lead a movement. So why leading a movement? So are you selling an innovation? Many of you said you are. What does your innovation challenge? What do you like if you're offering an innovation? I mean, it's something awesome. It's something that will make people's lives better in businesses. So what are you challenging by offering something better? Type in the chat what's the enemy that or who's the enemy that you and your customers both have in common, and don't say your competitors. Competitors aren't your real enemy. Who's the enemy? What or who is the enemy? Type in the chat. So Craig, start the revolution. What are you revolting against? What's revolting here? Who's the enemy? Get clear. Mark, service starts with a relationship, not your accounting staff. I'm not sure what that means, but what's the enemy that your customers and you and your customers have? Jason, enemy, inertia to update software pricing for higher profit. I don't know what that means. That's complicated. Simplify that for me, Jason. So this is the enemy that Mark Benioff, if you've read his book, talked about. He created an enemy. It's in Salesforce.com. Hats off to this company. They've been doing a great job, crushing it. Since 2006, this was like the beginning of the company. They created a rebellion, absolute revolution, revolting against software, helping companies adopt the cloud. Awesome, brilliant. And that is a rebellion. That's an example of a revolution. And this is what you guys have to do. But you have to first decide, what is it the heck that you are rebelling against? So if you can't type in the chat right now, who or what is the enemy that both you and your customers have, then you have to do some work on this shift, and you haven't made the shift already. So the old way of pitching, for example, is you're making claims like we're the best, and here's why we're the best. And that's all self-ascribed. Here are the facts or the data, which, by the way, nobody believes. The new way, in the new world that we're in, where facts don't matter, the old way is dead. This is what you need to be pitching, essentially, and encouraging people to make a change. And I sure as hell would want to buy from Obi-Wan, not from the arrogant expert. What about you? So Chris Orleb talks about an effective nexus that should be polarizing. It should be a clear binary statement. It should be shaking the confidence in a good way of your buyers. So what are you rebelling against? The whole idea that Mark Benioff did with Salesforce.com with like wearing buttons that said no software, like that's pretty bold. So be bold, lead a rebellion, lead a movement. Type in the chat here if you know what is your polarizing statement. What are you rebelling against? Craig, fraud and inefficiency. Maybe, I'm not sure what that means, but give me some more detail. Jason, we help software companies make more profit. So that's great. That's a goal, but that's not really, Jason, you're not talking about what you're rebelling against. There's nothing to rebel against there. That's something to attain and to achieve. There's nothing rebelling against there. Do you see the difference there, Jason? Paul, time and bad information. I don't know what that means. Give me some more context. Mark, communication failures between sales and service. Yeah, so specifically, Mark, what are you rebelling against? Failures to communicate between people, misunderstandings. I don't know if that's clear. Can you rebel against that? So to be really specific, more specific, the better. Like Mark Benioff said, software. You can rebel against paper. Paper can be something to rebel against, if you want to go digital. All right. So you need to be clear as you're thinking through this first shift. What do you want people to stop doing? What should they stop doing? And what do they need to start doing? This kind of thinking will help you determine what you're rebelling against and who the enemy, who the villain of the story is. Stop what? Type in the chat if you know if you tell your customers, your prospects, to stop doing. This will give you an indication of what the enemy is and what you need to rebel against. Okay, so there's some great examples of this, like a cognition, goodbye spreadsheets. Spreadsheets are the enemy here for this company. Cognition is leading a rebellion against spreadsheets and leading a movement towards something they're calling connected information, which is through their platform. And that is a really clear example of a rebellion. So I like to say in my own business, Pitch Kitchen, stop the hype marketing. It doesn't work. The brag marketing that just, makes you feel good, but it doesn't help sales. Lead a movement instead. I like to say lead a movement that helps get your people, your prospects, the people that you're serving to a better place. So the people who aren't enrolled in the journey, I love this quote by Seth Godin, they are going to ignore you. And that is great news. You want them to ignore you. Sales is an act of leadership. If you believe that sales is an act of leadership and marketing actually is an act of leadership too, type in, give me a 1 in the chat if you believe that sales and marketing is actually an act of leadership. Absolutely. So what are you doing? Lead a movement, lead an uprising, lead a rebellion against the status quo. And the status quo is typically the enemy. So it would be the subject of your TED Talk, if you gave a TED Talk, a world where awesome things happen because the enemy has been vanquished and put to rest. So the first shift is about conquering the enemy. I love this from Airbnb. Their aspiration is creating a world where you can live anywhere. We're going to talk about this. If you think about leading a rebellion, I think Donald Trump is leading a rebellion to make America great again. Now, I'm not going to get into a political discussion here at all. I'm actually a Democrat and not a fan of Donald Trump, but I know great marketing when I see it, and that is great marketing. But what do all of these hashtags have in common? Hit your number from ZoomInfo, own your tomorrow from Charles Schwab, trust your source from the Wall Street Journal, just do it from Nike, eat with purpose from Chopped, start with why, Simon Sinek. So what do all these have in common? Type in the chat if you can see what they all have in common. So this is about leading a movement, lead a rebellion, lead a movement, lead an uprising. What do all these have in common? Type in the chat there. They're active and short. Yes, they're active. They're asking people to make a change, to do something. They're less than three. All of them are 3 words. 3 words, and they all start with a verb. They're all starting with a verb, an action word. So I'm curious, type in the chat, what is your action word? What is your 3-word movement? Great book I want to recommend. It's called 3-Word Rebellion by Dr. Michelle Mazur, friend, colleague, wonderful work that she's done on studying social movements. And so what is your 3-word? Put a hashtag in there. It would be your 3-word movement. Deliver with confidence. I like that. Give some more context so it makes sense. Because if you say start with why, it doesn't make any sense unless you know it's Simon Sinek. Live anywhere. You don't know what that context is unless you know that live anywhere is from Airbnb. So just put next to your hashtag your business so that it makes sense to others here in the room as well. Hello, Sean. What's going on? Welcome. So dominate your market. Love that. That's so good. I love, some great marketing when I see it. So marketing that I love is about action. It's about change. It's not about hype. And the shitty marketers that you hire today, most of the marketers are happy to take your money and make it all about making it about how great your product is. And sadly, that doesn't work. We're going to talk about why that doesn't work in the second shift. So type in the chat your hashtag, generate more profit. I like that. Give us some more context. Jeff, CEO of EquipX, before he made these 5 shifts, confusing marketing content, pipeline was thin, letting partners down, losing key deals to no decision. This was their before website. And after he'd made all of these changes, tripled revenue in 4 months, 6x pipeline, huge confidence in the business, and so grateful. And so I'm just amazed by the results there. I can't promise you're going to have this results, but you could have results like this. This is his afterwards, where the messaging was just so clear about reducing the fleet costs that hospitals have on their equipment and the transformation story of turning underutilized equipment into who they want to become, which is an optimized health system. It's really, really great. So if this makes sense to you, that the first shift you need to do is to lead a movement, then type in "makes sense" in the chat. Lead a movement. And also the offer, if you're just coming in late, you can book time with us if you qualify. And if you stay to the end, we've got some giveaways: Sean, Paul, Benjamin, Dan, Donna, Brandon, Mark, and Craig. So if it makes sense to you, type in the chat "makes sense," and we'll unlock the next shift that you need to make. All right. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right. Yeah, so Trisha, CEO of a behavior science tech, they actually just sold their company, like really made a great deal. So excited for them. And it really happened through unbelievable clear messaging. Yeah, no, some folks that we worked with, blah, 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 just so you know. We had some great customers who've done some great things. All right, start with the problem. This is the second shift you need to do. So why not start with your solution? I think someone here who said it before, um, Jason, we help software companies make more profit. That's great, but it doesn't work. Why not start with your solution, Jason? Why not start with your solution in your marketing? Benjamin, Paul, Dan, Brandon, Craig, type in the chat. Why not start with your solution? Here's a picture that's worth 1,000 words. Talk about 3 words. Why not start with your solution? Huh? The AI-enabled market landscape is even bigger than the marketing landscape. In fact, I think by 2030, every business is going to be AI-enabled. So that is kind of meaningless if you say there's AI in your product today. Even by 2025, this is going to be useless marketing to say AI-powered, because everything is AI. It's like electricity. Is there electricity going on in your business? That's great. That's very nice. Anyway, why not start with your solution? Because I say, like, where is your solution? Where is it? Like in markets that are flooded with solutions similar to yours, or even customers are confusing your innovation with products and services that are nothing like yours. It's all just noise. It's all noise. So if you're starting with the problem, then you understand one principle, that money follows pain. If this makes sense to you, type in pain in the chat, just pain. If you make sense to you that money follows pain, if you know this in sales. And so customers buy more when they're feeling understood than by them understanding you. This is another principle in starting with the problem. So this is why starting with solution doesn't work, because customers don't know if you even understand their business, understand their problems. So you haven't established that empathy and authority around the problem. So here's another principle. People are twice as likely to buy something to relieve pain than to gain something. So you really need to turn your messaging, your positioning around from, I think it was Jason who said it here, turned it around from, where was it in the chat? I can't find it, but turn it around from a goal to solving an immediate problem. This works so much better in the positioning. I think one of you did this too earlier on. Fundraising is hard. I love that. So solution marketing doesn't work anymore because it doesn't answer these 3 questions. Why should we change? Why should we change now? And why should we change with you? The old way of pitching and selling with marketing positioning is you start with your solution. And you're saying things like, we help companies generate more sales. But the new way is you flip that around and you start with the problem. And you say something like, in your marketing, your messaging, we help companies who are struggling with the following, struggling or frustrated with. That makes more sense. That is attractive to the people that are suffering that, and they understand that you must have a great solution for that, or a solution for that. So consider this diagram, where on the left side you've got folks in your pipeline who the risk of changing is too great. They're not going to make a change. And then on the right side, you've got people in your pipeline you're talking to where the risk of doing nothing in their business is too great. They have to do something. Not sure that they're going to do it with you, but they have to do something. So this is super powerful to consider. Flip the Jeffrey Moore's crossing the chasm diagram around to make it about your customers, where you need to appreciate you're going to ignore a lot of folks, educate some folks, influence folks that are on the top of the ski mountain there, and encourage the heck out of folks that are appreciating the risk of doing nothing. So starting with the problem in your positioning and messaging is actually doing all four of these things at the same time. It's repelling people as well as attracting people. In the book, you'll see this diagram in the book. I also drew this on an iPad. It was a lot of fun. But essentially, you can identify where people are along what I call the buyer's belief curve. But if you're starting with the problem, this is what you're doing right. You are having this on your website. You're having this in all of your messaging. It's everywhere. It's in the narrative. So type in the chat here if you pass the test, if you've made this shift already. Type in the chat, what's the number one problem that you solve? Type in the chat, what is the number one problem that you solve? And let's see if you made the shift. If not, that's fine. We can work on it together. I want to help you. But as a business leader, you got to be 100% clear and have made this shift. This is what you're about. Eliminate the major source of fraud causing delinquency and eviction. Okay, so fraud. So the problem is who's experiencing that fraud? So the reason why that's not clear, Craig, is that you haven't indicated who is suffering from that problem. All right, Jason, low profitability for software companies. So in other words, Jason, software companies that are not profitable or unprofitable software companies or losing money, being more clear. Bad software pricing. Yes. Okay. Type in the chat. What is the number one problem you solve? Leaving money on the table. Interesting. Possibly. Okay. Jason, thank you. Who else here? Type in the chat. What's the number one problem you solve? You got Mark, Brandon, Dan, Benjamin, Sean, Paul, Craig. If you were here, please participate. This is a masterclass. I want you to really make these shifts. Eliminate the major source of fraud causing delinquency that crush the net operating income on your. That's a mouthful there. It should be super simple. I don't know who that's for. Like, who is eliminating the major source? Who is this? Who is the hero in this story? Mark, projects that fail in the handoff between sales and service. Projects that fail. That's the number one problem. Maybe it's hard to know from looking at this, but I think you guys have done pretty well. None of you are pointing towards goals except profitability is a goal. So it's like low profitability is not really a problem. It's like saying, well, you really haven't met your goal. You're not meeting your goals. Is not really a problem. It's like, oh, your goal is to lose 30 pounds. You're not really losing weight. That's not a problem. The problem with weight losing is you can't bend over to pick up the Legos for your kids, or you're embarrassed because you can't fit in the suits that you wear. That's a problem, or your doctor says that if you don't lose weight, you're taking 10 years off your life. You get where I'm putting down here? Those are freaking problems. The fact that you're saying low profitability for software companies, that's really not a problem. That's like not meeting your goals, which is not as sharp as a problem. So you can do some work on that. So facts don't change people's minds. You can't really tell them why they need to lose weight or why they need to fix their problems, because they don't believe in the things that you tell them. What do people believe? What do your customers believe? They believe in the things that they themselves decide, not what you tell them. And that's why when you lead with the problem, they have already decided and appreciate the problem that they're having is one that is front and center for them. So if you can describe their problem better than they can, they'll automatically believe that you have the best solution. Similarly to what we did in this masterclass, when I talked about some of the problems right up front, that was the goal. That was the purpose of it here. So this is a really great example from ReadyWorks where they're solving problems where doctors and nurses are spending more time with paper than with patients. And that was so clear. And so that's what their movement is about, patients before paper. It's so clear, it's so delicious, so amazing. And this company is wildly successful as a result of a singular narrative like that. Turn paper checklists into smart forms. You get it, understandable. Like even though you don't know anything about this business, you totally get the power of it. And that's why they're successful. All right, so that's the second shift. You guys did pretty well, but definitely more work needs to be done on the shift. If this makes sense, type in the chat, makes sense. All right. All right, so number 3. So Warren Johnson, before he and his team had made the shifts, they had stagnant growth. Good salespeople were leaving the company. Value of the innovation was just not getting across, missing forecasts, bad things. They went from 137 customers to almost 3,000 in 12 months. So this is huge growth. I don't know that you guys are going to get the same growth, but this is massive. Same thing with Manish. Before he had made these shifts, was missing targets, bootstrapped with limited runway, couldn't even invest in the product without more customers. They have grown exponentially since 2022. I couldn't get the numbers out of him, but I'm really proud of his growth, and so is he. So this is really hard to make these shifts. So make no mistake, and that's because the marketers you hire, they're just going to market. There are blind spots, outdated playbooks. Status quo is still better for most people, and that's why they do nothing. They don't buy your solution. And a lot of businesses just waste so much money on websites that don't really convert. So innovation graveyard, it happens. I think I read in the New York Times, 3,200 private companies went up belly up last year. So it happens. Great products go belly up. The best salesperson will not save you. They're going to quit. You can't grow your business just on relationships like that. Your fancy GPT prompts won't save you because it's trained from marketing from 2015. So let's get into the third shift. Make your customer the hero. So if they're the hero, type in the chat, who does that make you? Type in the chat. Everyone wants to make their customer the hero, right? It's like, oh yeah, make the customer the hero. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, sure, let's do it. But the reality is very few business leaders know how to do that. Very few CEOs, very few marketers even know how to do that. So type in the chat, if they're the hero, who does that make you? So if you really understand that they're the hero in the story that shows up in your messaging, your positioning, your marketing. So it doesn't make you the savior. No, Mark, it doesn't. Because the savior is kind of like the hero. You're my hero. You're my personal Jesus. Jason, yes, it's the trusted advisor. It's the guide. It's the guide in the story. So if you're the guide and they're the hero, who's the villain? So we hinted at this earlier when we talked about leading a movement. Who's the enemy? So type in the chat now, who's the villain of the story? So this is really a good exercise of thinking about your messaging, your story about the business, of who the characters of the story are. This is a super helpful exercise. So who is the villain? Type in the chat, who is the villain there? I think we hinted at it earlier. Some of you got it, not sure. So supply chain inefficiency. It might be. I need more context to know who the villain is. So regardless, what is your marketing in love with? And this is the indication of the characters of the story. What is your homepage in love with? If I were to go to your homepage right now, by the way, type in your homepage in the chat here so everybody can take a look at it. And I'm happy to do a quick critique here of your website in the session at the end if we have some time. Type in the chat what your website is. But what is your marketing in love with right now? What is it in love with? Type it in the chat. Applicants submitting fraudulent documents. I'm not sure if that's what's in love with. So Jason, the problem. So good. It should be in love with your customers and their problem. and their goals. And it should be self-evident. It's like my mom could go to your website, and my mom should be able to tell what your messaging is in love with. It's that clear. It's that simple. All right. So yeah, let's do that. Every CEO wants to do this. Every marketer says they can do it, but freaking nobody knows how. And that's the reality. Nobody knows how, and it's sad. But it has to pass the mother test, and your mom would be able to tell. So it's just, you got to go back to basics. Sites like this, bringing clarity to risk, makes them the hero. It's about the voice that comes through in the design of the page, the images, as well as the messaging. It's basically the voice is saying we're the best and why we're the best, versus saying how we make you better. It's as simple as this. This is the filter that your mind can look at a website and saying, who's the voice here? Is the voice of the hero, the villain, the victim, the guy, this comedic sidekick, whatever. Who's the voice? Who's speaking right now when I read anything from this company? And this is why ChatGPT sucks, because it's not trained on the right voice. If you train it on the right voice, you're going to get some freaking amazing marketing. So this is an example of a really shitty website, IPMD, AI Human Interaction, creating a better world for tomorrow. Like, oh my God, gag me with a spoon. After, give doctors superpowers. And this company, breakthrough company, is bringing emotional AI to patient encounters. Holy smackaroos, amazing. But look at the before, like that didn't do it. This almost does it by speaking to, well, who is this for? What does it do? It turns virtual patient checkups, oh, I see. So it's a doctor meeting over an app, into deeply insightful interactions. And that's what it does. It adds a layer of emotional AI, how this person is feeling. Brilliant. It's looking great. So I hope you get a sense of what that means by making the customer the hero, is getting clear on the voice. So if you think about what you're really selling, and this is really straight out of Gap Selling from Keenan, and it's so effective to look at your marketing this way, that your solution is not a thing that people really want. What they want is their future state. And this is where so many marketers fail. They think that what they're selling is the solution, but they're not. What are you really selling? Type in the chat if you know what you're really selling. Type in the chat. This is like a massive shift for number 3. What are you really selling? Brandon, Dan, Benjamin, Paul. Change. Yes, absolutely. So that's the curve there. All right. So this is the magnetic messaging framework that you'll find in the book. It's super helpful to make sure your website has all the sections it needs. And you definitely should pay attention to that to see if your messaging has that. Call to actions need to be so much better than they typically are. They need to be very specific and not loose and vague. All right, so if you wanted to book a session with us, please do that. You can do that now, or we wait to the end. This is open up to you guys, so we can really help you nail your story, or at least figure out what's wrong with the story so that you can nail it yourself. So I talked to you a little bit about Patricia before, and if it makes sense, number 3, to make your customer the hero, that this is a shift that you need to make, just type in the chat. It makes sense. All right. Cool. Let's go on to number 5, quick take positioning suggestions based on your homepage. I think we have a couple homepages. Type in your homepage in the chat, and I think Jason put applied frameworks. We'll take a look at that after. Feel free to type in your URL. All right. Number 4, name your category. So this is a shift that you need to do. So just think of, like, the phone has changed so much since the 1990s, but the categories have also shifted of what those are. And it's typically your prefix. It's typically before the existing category that the leading companies get to name. And like Apple is doing this now with spatial computing, Regardless of what you think the successful or not the headset is, this is the future of computing, where it'll be on glasses or some lens, where you'll interact with a VR or a virtual reality or augmented reality situation. And of course, Apple has nailed their marketing as well, calling it AI, but Apple Intelligence. It's really good. They created their own category. Comfort Connect has created their own category called Comfort Ownership. It's a new concept versus equipment ownership. Conversation intelligence is also a new category from Apollo. This is funny from Warren Buffett that speaks to the idea of category creation. How do you beat Bobby Fischer? You play him at any game but chess. So true. So just take a look at these categories, like ReadyWorks created smart forms, or Clipper, video intelligence, cognition, information driven versus the old way, intelligent recovery versus the old data backup and recovery, a CCO, collaborative care organization versus a PPO for healthcare. So good, so good. And so many of these companies here that have been successful, from Dropbox to Clear Metal, they have created a category simply by adding a prefix to an existing category. And this is the secret, one of the secrets to organizations becoming the leaders in their space, by describing the new way, the new approach. So type in the chat here, what is your unique category? And it typically would look like an existing category that you're selling in with a prefix. Type in the chat. Let's see what you got. All right. Are you still with me? Okay, systematic pricing or intelligent pricing. Jason, I love that. Intelligent pricing, that involves AI, which is great. Intelligent is the keyword, the keyword for AI. It's great. I love that, intelligent pricing. Mark, smarter project management. So I would not say smarter, because that's not a way. I would say maybe smart or intelligent project management, but not smarter. All right, so good examples. Let's go on to the fifth shift. And this is a massive, like, oh my gosh, your mind is about to be exploded right now, if it isn't already exploded. So here's the secret weapon. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about this. I've had so many sleepless nights experimenting, playing with AI, and I've spent at least 20,000 hours in the last year exploring how AI can be used with marketing. So I'm about to share with you the results of that now. Do you have a core messaging framework document? Yes or no? A core messaging framework document? Yes or no? And so when I asked people on LinkedIn, it looks like, who cares? Never used it. Some people said no, some people said yes. But this is like, the AIs get trained on data. And if you don't have any good data to give it, it'll be trained on bad data. So the reason why you've been disappointed by the marketing content you get out of ChatGPT is because the prompts don't work. They're hit or miss. They're often get hallucinations and just bad copywriting, bad messaging. I like to say, hey GPT, 2015 called and they want their lingo back. And have you noticed in using GPT, have you seen any of these words come out of your AI? Like delve and streamline or unlock. Unlock, that's a big one. So when I see these words in marketing, I'm like, oh, they're using untrained GPT. It's the tell, it's the bellwether, it's the giveaway. So that's GPT is like an apprentice. AI is like an apprentice marketer that has been trained on. They're a smart marketer, brilliant marketer. Oh, sorry, like a college graduate has been trained on billions and billions of marketing words from the 2015s or the 2010s. And that's a problem because it's been trained on Enron's marketing. And when I say Enron, that's one example of companies it's been trained on. Do you remember Enron? Anyone remember Enron? All right. It's been trained on, what's that other company that went belly up, or the girls in jail with babies? What's her name? Elizabeth Holmes from Theranos. So GPT has been trained on Theranos and Enron and a gazillion other companies that have really bad marketing. So get AI to become your marketing expert in your brand voice. But how do you do that? So here is the secret weapon. Basically, get an outsider like a fractional CMO who will unlock 1 year of strategic marketing and growth in just 90 days at a fraction of the cost of that of a full-time chief marketing officer. And they'll be able to refine your story through expert facilitated discussions and interviews with your leadership team and customers, perhaps like a leadership team and customers in different interviews and one-on-ones, to using the most effective framework. Then transform your homepage, sales deck, marketing messaging to be problem-centric and compelling. And once you've got that, use the finished framework to pre-train your customized GPT that is going to generate oodles of 100% on-brand content that'll become your co-intelligent ambassador, brand ambassador. And I can show you 20 GPTs right now on my computer, on my screen here, that I just showed you before. This is one GPT from Aware, but here's like another GPT from Tangible, another company. And I can just say here, yo, are you there? Yo, what's going on? Write me a email to invite a CEO to a roundtable next week. I really want to meet them badly because they're awesome. So I just wanted to show you, after, like, again, a lazy bad prompt like that. Yo, who talks to an AI like that? And I want to meet them badly because they're awesome. Join us at an exclusive CEO roundtable. So this is specific to the business, at least I think it is. No, I want you to include more of your knowledge about what we do and what we can help them with. Assume they are an ideal customer. So as you see, I'm just talking to the GPT here. This is co-intelligent marketing. There it is. So now there's more details here about the co-intelligent transaction platform, overcoming transactions. So it looks like it needed to be beaten up a little bit, but it got there. So sorry to go too far off the rails here, but that's what the finished framework will do. Will basically help you and your team have this ambassador to create content. So type in your questions here. You must be like, oh my gosh, what the hell is this? So Jason, we trained our GPT with our book. That's great. That's very few companies are doing that, but I would say every company in 2025 will have done that, and that needs to be done now. So this is what a 3-month sprint looks like. We call this the sales enablement ladder. It starts with getting your messaging and validating that messaging up front so that the document can be trained, and you can have that GPT trained, because all of these questions need to be answered. All of them, and need to be answered by the leadership team that you're relying on to grow the business with your insights about the industry, all of them. But once you have those questions answered, once you have this Bible, or the gospel, if you will, according to your leadership team, and also validated by a customer or prospect, then you've got the co-intelligent marketing. You can basically train the GPT and then use it to spin up chats that will generate on that third level here. You can spin up chats at that third level to generate marketing content, webinar content, presentations, blog content, LinkedIn posts, just like a gazillion things. And all of it is going to be based not just on the GPT-4o, but also based on the GPT memory from the trained memory that you built. And also the third level is chat memory. So you can create one just for LinkedIn posts or just for emails that's built on the first two pieces. If I'm going too fast for you here, just please ask any questions you want. So yeah, this is 2025. If you don't have your red dressed GPT trained on your solution, you're going to be left behind, because this is really going to be the secret weapon for businesses. But in order to get there, you do need to go through those first steps. You got to refine your story through expert facilitated interviews, outside experts, transform your homepage, sales decks, and marketing to be problem-centric and compelling, and use that finished framework to pre-train your custom GPT. So that's it. So Masood also had a great experience afterwards. He was frustrated. It was like 30 demos to 1 sale. Afterwards, I think he had tripled at bats and doubled the win rate in just 2 months. And that was really huge. And that was after these shifts have been made. So there you have it. Last call for 2025. We're shaping up here towards the end of the year, and it's important to get these nailed. So here's what I promised you: how to nail your sales message, how to turn your homepage into a home run, why it's game over for most marketing playbooks and even untrained GPT, how to attract ideal customers into buying conversations, and how to use AI to create a torrent of on-brand content. So just to recap, you got to lead a movement, start with the problem, make your customer the hero, name your category, and use the secret weapon, which is that AI piece after building your gospel. So I would say now you have a choice. Now you have a choice. One, you can do nothing. You can go it alone, or you can get help. And I would recommend that you get some help because it's really hard to do. And it's very easy not to do anything and just hope that 2025 will be a lot better. So just scan this QR code. You can book a meeting with us. And during that call, you'll get a gap assessment. You'll get clear on what you need to be doing and get a game plan for getting it done. And it's absolutely free if you qualify, of course. So let's go giveaway time. I'm going to give away the 16-part magnetic messaging framework. And up on your screen here, I'm going to share the handout. You should see that now. You can download that magnetic messaging framework, which is also in the book. Here, I'm also going to put in the chat the 12 sales conversations that open minds and close deals. And if you miss one of these sales conversations, you will not close a 100K deal. That's the way it is. And the last piece here before the book I'm giving away is the GPT homepage messaging evaluator. So this link here I'm putting in the chat is you could use GPT for free and put in your website, and it'll give you an assessment of how it engages with prospects from a story and positioning perspective. And now the book. This is the book. I'm going to give you a link you can download. It's like 137 pages. It's not very easy to read as a PDF. So yes, Jason, to answer your question, that is what was used when we emailed you. That was the output. So you'll get the similar output. If you run it again, you might get slightly different output because there's a randomization aspect to GPT. But it'll be similar. So maybe you won't score a 68, maybe you'll score a 79, hopefully. But anyway, so there's the book. You can download a full book, but I say, buy the book on Amazon. It's just easier to read. Where's the book? Here. This is the book, Storycraft for Disruptors. Here it is. I'm putting it on my chest because it's kind of getting, but there it is. Buy it on Amazon, and it has a lot of step-by-step pieces in there and like a workbook session there. So it'll help you if you want to do this on your own. So with that, what are your questions or comments, or which one of these shifts did you feel like you made today that you really, or maybe which one of these shifts had the most impact on you that you really want to start thinking about more? Type in the chat. Type in the chat which one of these shifts. Paul, lead a movement. Yeah, it's great if you can do that. It really motivates you, your whole team, when you get behind a movement, and it's kind of what Steve Jobs did. That's why on the cover of the book it says here, like, you belong here, and that's actually a picture of Steve Jobs over here. I hope I don't get sued by Apple, but you belong there because Steve Jobs led a movement too, and I think that's often what people say helped Apple become what it is today. And so you guys belong there, but you need to get clear on what movement you're leading, and that's super important. So Jason, we need to start by defining the movement, nail the problem. Yes. So all of these, you can start anywhere. You can start with focusing on the villain of the story. You can start by, start there, like who are the characters of the story, and then you'll get clear from that, that thinking process, that thought experiment of what you're rebelling against and what your movement should be about. So that's great. So anybody else have questions or comments, or if you want to book some time with us, please do. Happy to help you guys. Hope you got value from this session. Dan, Benjamin, Matt, and others. Thank you so much. We're going to wrap up right now. If you got value from this, that's because you're also trying to make the world a better place. That's why I'm in business. That's why you're in business, is to bring our services, our products to help our customers be awesome. So thank you so much for coming here, and I hope you got some value from today. Thanks so much, guys. Be well and keep on rocking in the free world.